Hey there, it's Laura Williamson, and this is Bear Fitness. We're changing it up these days. No longer are we in the TV studio. We are now in the podcast room. So now we're going to get Bear and tell it all. We're going to get all the information. And I have a wonderful guest here with me today. Today, it is Donna Lee. But let me tell you who I am again. I am your host. I am a personal trainer, Pilates instructor, Reiki practitioner, and I'm personal cheerleader to a lot. So we're here today. We're going to talk about some pretty interesting topics, but more importantly, Donna is going to tell us about her washable yoga mat, which is fantastic, but it's not only about the mat, it's also about Donna. Donna's been through some extraordinary things. She's going to share her story with us and leave us with her words of wisdom, which are awe-inspiring. So this is a great story. You want to stick around for this and find out basically how she can inspire you to implement some cool things into your life to make some things a lot easier. So stay tuned and don't go away. And Donna, welcome. It's good to have you back. Well, actually, not have you back. It's good to have you here because you and I, we've spoken before. So I'm just excited to see you again. I'm gonna start before we even get into everything with you. I'm gonna dig in. So you and I, we met recently. We met a couple of months ago at a conference, a wellness event. And we started talking, and we hit it off. And admittedly, I was a little bit of a stalker because I called you back because the conversation we had was just, for me, so moving. And you had said something to me that actually, it was something so simple, but it was a revelation for me. And all you said to me was, stay present. A lot of our fear has to do with the future. And so I'm starting with that, what you told me, because it has made such a huge difference for me. And for anyone listening to this, you may not realize what it all means now, but we're going to talk a little bit and get into some things. And now I want to talk about all things Donna. Can you please introduce yourself to everyone and tell us about who you are and what you do? Tell us about these wonderful yoga mats that you have.
Well, I really want to thank you for having me on your show. I'm thrilled to be here. My name is Donna Lee. I invented a machine washable, dryer safe yoga mat that's also sustainable, non-toxic, and made in actually Holyoke, Massachusetts. So it's made in the USA locally. Part of my story is I was debating on whether to get a patent or not, and I don't know, I got messages from the universe that I needed to do that, and I did pursue a patent. And I have to be honest, going for a patent is almost like playing the lottery.
Okay.
You just don't know if you're going to get it, so you throw a lot of money at it, and you don't know if you're going to get the win. But
Okay.
I was successful at getting my patent, so that was a real highlight of part of this journey that I'm on. And it started there's many starting points or many milestones to this journey, which we'll talk about, I guess, today. But I did start with the idea of creating this mat on January 1st, 2020.
January 1st, 2020, the very beginning of a new year.
Beginning of a new year, and also prior to the pandemic.
Okay. Right before the pandemic.
Yep.
Before everything kind of just went.
Nobody knew
Right.
on
What
January
was gonna
1st,
happen.
2020. Nobody knew.
Right. So let me ask you a question. Why yoga mats? What made you decide to do these yoga mats?
So I practiced yoga for many, many years. I decided I really needed to change up my health routine. And I went to a club, and I joined the club in a program called Commit to Be Fit, and it helped you with nutritional aspects. And then each time we would meet each week, we'd be introduced to a new activity, whether it was Pilates or Zumba or yoga.
Okay.
So I always kind of shied away from yoga, but for some reason I felt drawn to it. So from that point, I started doing yoga and Pilates quite frequently. And I remember distinctly, I was using the mats that were provided at my club, and I was, following like what everybody else does. They use the mat. They then go to the wipe dispenser and go to clean their mat off. And a friend of mine who was in the class as well, she's an oncology nurse at Floating Children's Hospital.
Okay.
And she immediately stopped me and said, "Don't use those wipes." And I said, "Oh, well, like, what do you mean? How are we going to get these mats clean?" And she said, "They're toxic, they're full of chemicals," and she's very sensitive to the fact that exposure to chemicals can be harmful to ourselves or our bodies. So I stopped in my tracks, and I'm like, "Well, what do I do?" And she said, "Well, you go get your own mat." And I'm like, oh, "Okay." So I went, bought my own mat, and learned that it just disintegrated in 3 months.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, there's got to be something better. And the other thing with the mat I was using, it was a typical rubber mat, which are made from like PVC, which is a known carcinogen. And I'm a sweater, so I need to have a towel on my mat.
Okay.
And it was just very problematic. The towel would slip. It really distracted from my practice. So I'm, building this idea that there's got to be something better. And that's kind of how I started off thinking I was going to do something like this. But that was probably in 2018 or so. And so it didn't evolve until 2020, like I said, but it was always percolating that I needed to do something like this.
Okay. So, I mean, first of all, the mats are beautiful. Let's start with the aesthetics of the mat. They don't look like your typical yoga mat. That's the first thing. And then the quality of the mat is absolutely amazing. So, I mean, they're beautiful, and it looks like they'll last a lifetime. Like, I mean, I would be proud to carry that type of mat with me in my bag and take it with me, and knowing I don't have to ever buy another yoga mat. Like, this is the one I have. I'm keeping it for as long as I need it. And let me ask you a question. Can you use it more or less anywhere? Could you take it outside? Because some people like to do yoga outside.
Yes. That's the best part about it, is you can take it anywhere.
Okay.
It rolls, it folds, so it's very transportable. And you can take it into the forest, you can take it to the beach. I've actually had people that have purchased the mats, notify me that I took it to the beach today. It was better than a blanket.
Right.
I had another person that purchased the mat and took it to a retreat in Poland, and they were in the woods and raved about how great it was. It's padded, it's durable, and it just gives you, it checks all the boxes of what you want.
I mean, okay. So we know you're talented, and again, if you could see these mats, you're going to see them. You have to see them because they're so fantastic. But I want to also dig in, because you told me another cool story where you ended up at the Oscars.
I did.
So I need information. I need dish. You were with Big Papi. We're gonna start with him because he's loved here. We love him.
Right.
We heart him.
Right.
So
right.
you were with Viola David. Like, again, everyone can see the pictures. They're fantastic.
Yeah.
How does one end up hobnobbing with those in Hollywood, and how can we do that? Tell us about that. How'd that happen?
So I think it comes back to the practice of manifesting.
Okay.
I referenced January 1st, 2020. So
Yes.
I actually took a manifesting class.
Oh.
That I follow a spiritual coach.
Okay.
And she offers a class every January 1st. It's 21 days. And it's just a manifesting class. So you go into this program manifesting whatever your heart desires. So for me, that day was a yoga mat. And I had no idea how I was going to do it. I didn't know what the materials would be. And, my first prompt on that day was, what about this manifesting that you're about to experience brings you joy.
Okay.
So that's your first prompt. And you relate it back to whatever it is you're manifesting. So it was my mat. And I felt that the joy I felt was sharing it with others, you know, giving a healthier alternative of a mat. And again, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know what the materials are. And I kid you not, on the 22nd day, it all came to me. And the top layer is Turkish towel. The middle layer is it's called a single-sided fusible foam. And then there's a paper-thin, non-PVC rubber, paper-thin, and they use it on sailboats. So it literally will go nowhere.
Okay.
And how did I determine that? I don't really know. I manifested it, to be honest. So I then ordered all my materials. I know how to sew because my grandfather from Europe was a furrier and a tailor, so we were commissioned in my family to all learn how to sew, and I'm so grateful. And I made my prototype, and I said, you know what, I think I'm onto something. So getting back to your question about going to the Oscars.
You manifested going to the Oscars.
I did.
Okay.
So I realized now that I have this mat that I've come up with, and I'm thinking of manufacturing it, I was told I had to find influencers. So there was a yoga expo that happens every January in Pasadena, and I went, and it wasn't well attended because of COVID. And then, honestly, my whole plane trip out to California was about I need to find influencers. I just need to, and I just kept repeating that over and over and over again on that 6-hour plane ride. So I get to the expo, which again, it wasn't well attended because it was during COVID. And then a few days later, and I know the universe said to me, just hold on, Donna. I mean, you weren't really that successful at the expo, but I'm really going to blow your mind with this one.
Okay.
So I wind up at a Kimpton Hotel in West Hollywood. I went into a little boutique shop there that was rented out to somebody that supports brands, new brands. I got to talking with him, and you know, the coincidence was his mother grew up in Worcester, so he's now out there in LA. And he said, you know, I love your story, and I do the swag bags for the Oscars. Are you interested? And again, there was no appointment that was made. I just showed up. And I said, well, yeah. And I was kind of a little naive because I wasn't really sure what this was about, you know, like what does this entail? And I said to him, do I have to go to the event? He said, well, yeah, you got to come and meet the stars and hand out the mat.
How horrible. Going to the event.
Right. So I had 6 weeks to then manufacture 120 mats and get them shipped out to LA for this 2-day event. And I got to be honest, I was nervous as heck because I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to meet these stars. And I just had to repeat to myself, you know, they're just people.
It's true, they are.
You know, so so I got everything done. I got out there, and it was at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel. And like the few weeks before that, of course, I rented Pretty Women, and I had to watch it over and over and over again because that was the hotel I was staying at.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah,
That's so fantastic.
yeah. So it got me in the mood.
So I want to touch on something before we talk about a very important incident in your life, which is actually part of your story.
Right.
So the audience doesn't know that you were in a pretty serious car accident. But before we talk about that, I just want to throw out, you know, for those listening to this who are sitting somewhere thinking, what is this manifesting thing? What is she talking about? What is all that about? I'm gonna, because you're gonna tell us a story and it's gonna come up again. So I want to address potentially what could be an elephant in the room for those who aren't familiar or aren't used to it. So before you tell the story, can you explain what this all means for you to manifest things? You know, I think for me, when I hear manifesting, the first thing I think about is the book, The Secret.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's
Yep.
the first, and it was a bestseller,
Yep.
I don't know, maybe a decade or so ago.
Right.
And that was pretty much a big deal.
Yep. That was a turning point to introduce people to manifesting.
Okay.
Yep. I feel. Right. So, about the manifest, I mean, I didn't really know the power of manifesting until I did it on January 1st, 2020, and came
Okay.
up with this mad idea.
Right.
And honestly, when you put the energy into this desire you have, you know, you set an intention, and then you kind of let it go.
Okay.
And what happens is it has so much energy, positive energy around it, that it just continues. Like that happened 5 years ago. And today I'm still manifesting from the intention I put forth on January 1st, 2020.
Okay.
So that's why I was able to get to the Oscar event. And, you know, it was funny because my cousin was with me that day. And when this happened, she looked at me and she said, "How does this always continue to happen to you?" And I'm like, I just have to believe, you know, I just put the energy out there. And, you know, even meeting Big Papi,
Viola
I
Davis.
just got a lot of press from this event.
And there were other actors. I mean,
yeah.
again, the pictures.
Yeah,
I mean.
yeah. One of my favorites was Eric Roberts, Julia Roberts' brother. He was so sweet. He came up to me and he gave me a kiss on my forehead. And I have a picture of that as well. And of course, that made my Christmas card that year.
I love
was
it.
like,
That's
this
right.
is
Send it to the family.
this has to go out there.
That's fantastic. I
Yeah.
would do the same.
Yeah. So, so in looking back, I mean, all the kind of traction I got was really my energy that I put out there.
So I have to ask. I'm
Yeah.
going to ask.
Yeah.
And I apologize if this doesn't come out quite in the appropriate way. But you had a pretty severe accident. And so I'm going to ask, how did that does that or did it even fit in with your healing, the healing process you went through with your accident?
Yeah, I'll tell you what happened. This was 2018. It was Father's Day. I had just left a pretty intense yoga practice at my club. It was a Sunday, beautiful day. I was planning on going stand-up paddleboarding that day, and honestly, I left my my club, and there was a car in front of me, and the license plate was from out of state, and it said Papa, and I had lost my dad in 2000, so I was like, oh, there's a sign. My dad's with me, you know, and I'm like, happy Heavenly Father's Day. And then 10 minutes later, I'm in a situation where I'm in a driveway. I had backed into a driveway that had a little slight slope, and I put my car in park. I didn't turn it off. I was outside the car, and I reached in and thinking, you know what, I should turn it off. I reached in to turn the button off to turn the car off, and it slipped out of gear. So at this point, the car started to roll backwards, and I eventually lost my footing. I was in flip-flops, and I went into a brush area. I lost my footing, and I fell to the ground. And my body is half under the car. So I know, and the inevitable was I was going to be run over. But I felt my dad there. I felt my practice from my yoga that morning just was like so comforting for me that I didn't think anything of it. And I remember saying to myself, okay, just get it over with. And I was just so relaxed. And the front left tire went over my core.
Okay.
And I didn't really think anything of it. I got up, I moved the car, I just, said, that didn't happen. I denied it. And eventually EMTs came and they were like, how are you walking around? And I'm like, well, I just came from yoga. So yoga, I think, saved my life that day because I was just so relaxed. And I did wind up at the trauma hospital, and I had multiple closed fractures to my pelvis and 3 broken ribs. And my healing from that, I didn't let it get me down. I knew I would return to my practice. It did take a year. I mean, I couldn't walk for a while. And I just persevered, and I felt that day was a turning point for me that, you know what, I have a bigger purpose in life. And that fueled some of my drive to invent this mat. And the name of my company is YOLO, which stands for Remember You Only Live Once.
I love it. But let me ask you a question. You said something a little bit ago, and you said, okay, let's just get it over with.
Yeah.
What were you thinking at the time? What did you mean by that? Just get it over with.
Well, I knew the car was going to run over me,
Uh-huh.
and I just kind of, I didn't feel I could move or
Okay.
make any adjustments, and I
Okay.
just said to myself, okay, this is going to happen, and I'm just going to have to get through it. And honestly, I feel the fact that it went over my core is really miraculous. It didn't go over my chest. If it did, I probably wouldn't be here. If it went over my legs, I probably would have been paralyzed. But the exact spot where it went over was really interesting to me. If it's going to happen, let's make it not as serious as it could be. And I guess I was just honestly in shock.
Yes.
It had to be shock that I was thinking this. I didn't panic in any way. I feel like if I did panic, I would have a different outcome. So I do believe, between my spirituality and my yoga practice and what I do to maintain my health, I stay pretty calm. I think it's important. And also to stay present.
Right.
We talked about that.
Right.
You
Stay in
mentioned
the
that.
present.
Stay in the present.
Don't stay away from the future.
Yeah, or and just don't even look in the past. Just keep in the present moment, and because everything's going to work out the way it's going to work out.
Right.
And so that's an interesting question that you asked me that.
Well, something else came up when in our conversation the last time we spoke, and you talked about setting intentions and how important, but not only how important it is, but how valuable it can be in general in life and what your goals are, what you're trying to accomplish, what you hope to accomplish.
Yep.
So can you talk a little bit about that?
Setting intentions, yeah. And that's another skill that I've developed.
Okay.
I mean, I've read a lot about it, and I do practice it. And I feel that if you set an intention, and it's manifesting in a way. That's part of manifesting.
But what is it? What is setting an intention? Like, again, because for a lot of people, this is going to be new. This is going to be like, oh, she's talking about manifesting. She's talking about intentions and spirituality. That's not my belief. That's not what I do, right? But if it is packaged a certain way, I find that people are ready to go.
Understand it.
Yeah, they're ready to understand. So, or try to.
So, like, even getting back to the mat itself, I set an intention that I was going to invent a machine washable, dryer safe yoga mat that was sustainable for, the purposes of introducing a product that is healthy. As I mentioned, PVC mats are toxic because you've got to practice. If you're practicing yoga, it's a healthy practice.
Okay.
So you kind of have to align with what that is.
Okay.
So setting an intention is a lot like, I really want to buy a house. Let's use that as an example. So you don't know how you're going to do it.
Right.
You don't know even if you have the means to do it, the
Right.
funding or whatever. You don't know where it's going to be. But if you have that as like a dream, kind of convert that dream into an intention. And I find it very helpful to write it down.
Okay.
Okay, so you write it down, and you also write it in a way that it's, I'm kind of breaking my rule here, that it is in the future.
Yes.
And that you believe and you can see yourself,
Right.
whatever that house is going to be, whether it's going to be a condo, if it's going to be in the woods, or it's going to be at the ocean. You just envision yourself there.
Okay.
Okay, and then you kind of wrap that energy around it, and you let it go. And you can't determine the outcome. You just have to let it happen on its own.
Right.
Like you can't direct it.
Right.
And I find that when I do set an intention and when I do manifest, if I get out of the way,
Okay.
something 18 times better than I thought happens.
So you mentioned you're still here. You got through that.
Yeah.
And so you feel as though you have a purpose. You have a bigger purpose. I mean, we all have a purpose, honestly. Let's be honest.
Right.
But for you, the fact that you literally walked away from this particular incident, you knew, you understood there was more. There was something more for you.
Yeah.
And now today, as you sit here in the studio with me, what do you know that to be?
I feel like my purpose is to, since I do value yoga so much, my purpose is to provide, actually have people learn from my story. That's one thing. I want to inspire people to go after their dreams.
Yes.
I want to inspire people to not be afraid.
Okay.
We talked about that a little bit.
We did.
And fear can really be a debacle for you, because if it'll hold you back. And it's very hard to overcome fear. It's so hard. But I think if you feel fear creeping in, you just have to kind of center yourself and
Heart-centered.
yeah, heart-centered, and then just kind of refocus on where you are today. And today may not be a great day for you, but you know that this too shall pass.
Right.
So, and you just keep on focusing positive energy towards your goal. And it will, I mean, I'm living proof that it will happen. And again, I entered this space of manifesting and setting intentions, not knowing what I was doing. But I finally got to the point where I'm like, you know what, I'm going to try this. And I've reaped the rewards from it, so I know that it's real.
Right.
And the spiritual person I follow, her name is Gabrielle Bernstein, and she works for me in terms of her teachings and how she travels through life. And she's got a wonderful book called The Universe Has Your Back, and that was a life-changing book for me.
Okay.
Where you just hand things over. When you try to control the outcome, you're not going to get an outcome. You're just going to spin your wheels. So once you give it up and give the universe the reins, miracles happen.
Like you said, let go.
Let go.
Let
You
go.
and
don't try to control it.
Yeah, you can't control it. You can't
can't.
keep checking in saying, oh, hey, it didn't happen yet. You just have to trust it will.
Yeah.
And the timing of the universe, you can't control. But once you plant that seed, like any kind of seed, it's not going to germinate right away.
Right. It takes time.
It takes time.
Yes.
But it really comes back to really believing in yourself.
Right.
That you have this power. We all have this power.
Right. Right. And I look at it as, for me personally, I look at it as, it's like building a muscle. It's like working out.
Yes.
It's something that you have to practice.
Yes.
It doesn't happen overnight
No.
because we've been taught to fear so
Right,
much.
right.
Well, what if this happens?
Yeah.
This could happen.
Yeah.
Oh, don't you
Yeah.
know this thing happened to this other person?
Yeah.
So in some way, there's a lot of fear out there because we've been conditioned that way.
Right, right.
So it's very difficult to move away from it. So it's not because it's easy. It's not easy.
It's not easy.
But it's a practice. It's
It
a
is.
practice like everything else.
Right. And I also feel that if you really kind of look at all your fears and do an assessment of it, most of them never come true.
Right. They're always worse.
Yeah.
In our heads, what we make
Yeah.
up is going to
Yeah.
happen is
Yeah.
always worse. At
Always
least in my
worse.
experience,
Yeah,
it's always
same,
been
yeah.
worse. And then
And-
you're like, oh, that wasn't so bad. I thought it was going to
Right,
be worse than
right.
that.
Another tool in my toolbox is gratitude.
Yes.
So if I feel myself going down the slippery slope, the slip and slide, I immediately go to my gratitude list.
Yes.
And I'm not good at it all the time, but I like to try to start off my day with like 3 things I'm grateful for. And they don't have to be huge. You can be grateful for the sun shining today. You can be grateful for the
Right.
glass of water you just drank.
Right. Just for waking up and
Just
putting your
waking
feet
up.
on the floor,
That's
or
right.
just waking up.
Right, right.
You know, it doesn't have
Right.
to be.
Doesn't have to be like, a Hollywood movie. So,
Right.
um,
That's right. It's true.
so I feel that that helps kind of pull me back into the present.
Yeah.
When I really focus on truly what I'm grateful for, it pulls me away from any kind of negative thoughts I have. Because the other thing is, once you start thinking negative thoughts or fear, it's gonna delay and potentially derail your manifesting.
You're right. Because now that's negative energy,
That's right.
and you're throwing negative energy after positive.
Right.
So you almost kind of counteract what you just did.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And that's another thing is, if you're always thinking negative thoughts and fear and worrying, guess what? You're manifesting more of that.
Yes. Yes. This is true. I mean, we could talk all day
Oh, we
about
could,
this.
yeah.
You know, we easily.
Yeah.
But this is, I wanted people to hear your story and be
Thank
inspired and have an idea of what they could do
Yeah.
for themselves.
Yeah.
And that there are answers out there for them, but there's always hope at the end of the day. You just have to believe in
Yeah.
yourself, and believe that anything's possible.
Anything is.
You know,
and
and it's
Yeah. In being an entrepreneur is extremely challenging. I'm not going to
Yes.
sugarcoat it.
I'm one myself, so trust me, you don't have to tell me.
Yeah, it's a roller coaster, but a lot of my ideas, sometimes I don't act upon them right away,
Yes.
and then I stop the old records going in my head saying, what's holding you back?
Right.
And it could be fear, it could be I'm not good enough, it could be imposter syndrome. I think we all kind of go through some of that sometimes.
Yes.
But once you realize, and go through your list of like, what are all my wins so far, and just going back to what those wins are, those should fuel
Yeah.
you picking up that phone and making that phone call if you need to make it, to reach out to somebody,
Right.
Right. And I mean, I'm a very driven person. I probably that's not the norm of most people, I think, but I just have a lot of drive, and all these wonderful events I get to, going to the Oscars just like kind of refuels me to, I can do more,
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
I did that,
What else can
I'm
you
kind
do?
of unstoppable
Yeah,
at this point.
what else can you do?
Yeah.
Try, see what
Right,
happens.
right,
you know?
right.
Go into it with curiosity.
Yes.
And see it as an
yes,
adventure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
It's been so wonderful having you here, and
thank you.
I'm so grateful
Well,
for
thank
you taking time out of your schedule to come here and sit down with me and talk about this.
All right.
Thank you so very much.
And just to tell you, there's no coincidences.
No, there aren't.
You and I were meant to meet.
I believe that. I
Yeah,
believe that
yeah,
completely.
yeah.
Do you have one last piece of advice? Anything you'd like our audience to know before you leave here today?
I think some of my things is, just be curious. I love that. Believe in yourself, and don't let any kind of potential trip that you may have in your journey stop you from moving forward.
Right.
We all have them.
Yes.
Life is a journey,
It is.
and you might be going down a different path than you anticipated, but be open to that. Open to maybe there's another saying that I kind of follow too, is sometimes things don't work out. It's because something better is coming.
That's right. You're being redirected.
You're being redirected, and disappointment can be difficult and can be hard, but realize that disappointment is a learning opportunity,
Yes.
and I guarantee you something better is going to come along.
I find it always does. And
Yeah.
if for some reason it doesn't, once again, there's a redirect, but
Yep.
then there's also there's a reason for it, as awful as it's going to sound sometimes for some who are thinking, this bad thing is happening to me.
Yeah.
Why? So I can learn something?
Yeah.
I've had enough lessons.
Right. But you don't,
So-
a lot of times if you've had the same lesson, it's telling you something that
Right.
maybe you need to make a change.
Yes.
So you don't repeat the same.
No, that's a different show.
That is a different show.
That's a different show. We won't go down that path today.
I agree,
That's
I
a different
agree.
show.
Yeah. But I think if I can close with just believe in yourself and just show up.
Yes.
Just constantly show up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Donna, thank you for being here. And
Thank you for having me.
And to our listener, thank you for being with us. We'll see you next time for more tell-all stories just like this one. We'll see you next time. I'm Laura, I'm your host, and this is Bear Fitness, and we're bearing it all.